Hey buddies, Bugger here coming at you with another Borderlands 3 video. Today we're going to actually be doing a Ghast Call build with Moze. Moze does exceptionally well with splash damage, so I thought why not use the Ghast Call with her. She has a huge kit that helps grenades and splash damage, so I thought it'd be best if we did it with her. The build we're actually running with her uses the Minesweeper for extra damage bonus that micro grenades give us. Now what micro grenades are small grenades that occasionally drop when you crit an enemy. They do exceptionally large amounts of damage based on the gun damage you dealt, or on this case, the grenade damage. We run 5 fire in the skag den points in our Minesweeper for maximum splash damage. We have some good substats on it as well for increased damage on there. Besides that, we're using the Vindicator Ghast Call, and I actually said it right this time. Last video I did not. Mainly this build is actually a huge variant on our Peregrine plus Vindicator Ghast Call build we did a while back. If you want to see that, just click up here. That allowed us to basically kill any boss we want, mollywop anybody we want, and this build pretty much does exactly the same thing, but it seems to be able to deal bigger splash radiuses because of torque cross promotion. It just does really good at survivability, damage. You can one-shot many enemies. You can kill Grave Ward really quickly, Captain Tron, Katagawa Ball, anything you want. So the main aspect of this build is the Vindicator Ghast Call, as I said before, the Minesweeper for the extra micro grenade explosions. But the big thing on this build is the Trick Unforgiven. Now what the Trick Unforgiven does, it gives us 432% more critical hit damage, and since we use max points in Pull the Holy Pin, our grenades have a 30% chance on each hit to activate a crit. Now that crit takes the Unforgiven multiplier and increases the damage to extremely high amounts, and we're also using a URAD Unforgiven that also increases our damage exponentially as well. We also use the nasty little combo we tried out with our Peregrine with the Hazardous Sellout. The Hazardous Sellout is great for igniting yourself in the community. It's mainly used for activating Elemental Projector. We're using it to activate a Corrosive Dot on us this time to allow the Ghast Call to just deal more and more damage. The cool thing about Moze is when you use the Sellout and you activate the Corrosive element on you, it actually also puts Incendiary Dot on you because the fire in the Skag Den ability. So you're actually getting Elemental Projector bonus for fire damage and corrosive damage, which helps a lot because fire in the Skag Den just applies fire damage to all our splash damage. So the Ghast Call will be dealing fire damage, corrosive damage, and radiation damage. So if there's an enemy that resists one particular thing, you don't have to worry about that because it's dealing 3 different types of elements. So you're getting tons of Incendiary bonus from the Elemental Projector and corrosive bonus from the Elemental Projector. We're running an Elemental Projector Deathless because that brings our health down to 1, which allows us to activate our URAD. Allows you to just deal crazy amounts of damage to anything you want. Cool thing about the Minesweeper class mod is that the micro grenades that drop, have a chance on crit to also drop another micro grenade. Now what that basically means is that every time we throw out a grenade, in this case the Ghast Call, it has a chance on critting, a 30% chance on critting. Now every skill that spawns also has a 30% chance on critting, which each crit has a chance on activating Minesweeper. So say we deal like 100 damage with the Ghast Call. Just for an example, it doesn't deal 100 damage, it deals like millions, but just for an example, deal 100 damage. Minesweeper procs, and it does maybe like 200 damage with like no bonuses, just to give you an input on what's happening. So that micro grenade can crit and drop something that increases the damage by 2 times as well. So it goes from 100, 200 to 400. The damage multiplier is a little bit more than just 2 times each time because of all the bonuses we have. But just to make it easier, let's think about it as just a 2 times bonus. So every single time Minesweeper procs, it just increases our damage by like plus 2 times, and that micro grenade can activate Pull the Holy Pin as well and just increase the damage by a crazy amount. That's actually how we killed the Grave Ward very easily here, is because the Ghast Call, 1, can kill it very easily with just the critical hits, but it was actually able to diminish its health really quickly because the Minesweeper actually procced twice in a row, which allowed it to just basically kill its health bar immediately. Also, we're running a Rough and Tumble Old God. Now, the reason why we're running an Old God is because this increases the corrosive damage we deal. We also use on action skill and 50% bonus corrosive damage with weapons. We're going all in on our corrosive damage. We're dealing crazy amounts of corrosive damage with the Vindicator Ghast Call, and 20% just adds to that very easily. We also have a very important skill called Experimental Munitions. Now, every time that Moze or Iron Bear scores a critical hit, we actually deal 15% more incendiary damage. We're already dealing tons of incendiary damage because of fire in the Skag Den, but this just increases our damage by 15% more, and when you're dealing millions of damage, that means a lot. We also run 3 points in the thin red line, so our shields are actually a lot higher than they would be on other characters, because even though our max health is already 1, it takes 6% of that since we're maxed out and just keeps adding it to shields even though we don't have anything to give. So it just keeps adding and adding and adding to shield capacity. So we just have a lot of shields with this build. We have good incinerate bonus with Stoke the Embers, and we get critical hit bonuses from Scorching RPMs. We just get a lot of bonuses from the tree for the damage, and we also get Toward Cross Promotion that also increases our splash damage. Now, a really cool thing about this build is that we have Means of Destruction on Moze, so you can keep throwing out grenades and your ammo would just keep regenerating because of how many grenades are being thrown out. Means of Destruction does have a very short cooldown, I believe, of 2 seconds, so you can't get all your grenades back at once like you used to be able to, but you still can do it. If you just throw out one gas call, you probably refund for your grenades because of how often just spawn and skulls spawn, and like they take a little bit of time to travel, so it gives you time to actually have the cooldown be refreshed. We also run Dastardly Love Drill. Now, the Love Drill is actually really good at applying critical hit damage as well, just like the Unforgiven. It actually has 100% less critical hit damage, so it's not the optimal thing you want to do, but if you ever want to shoot with this build, the Love Drill is what you want to go for, because you still want to get the critical hit bonuses as a gas call. You know, that's the main purpose of this build. If you ever want to switch to a weapony shooting, you want to switch to the Love Drill. It actually does really good damage. I was actually able to kill a lot of enemies with the Love Drill itself, and every single time you hit a crit with the Love Drill, you actually return, I think, 2 ammo into your magazine. It's a weird number. I know it's normally 1, but the Love Drill returns 2. So you're able to get a lot of ammo with the Love Drill and keep on shooting. And another really cool part about this build is that we run Auto Bear. Auto Bear is really cool because what we want to do is be able to proc our on action skill and Old God for the bonus corrosive damage. So we basically can enter Iron Bear and then exit immediately so we get the bonus damage, and just have Iron Bear, you know, go on autopilot for 15 seconds. And Iron Bear itself with Mayhem 10 does crazy amounts of damage. He does like 8 million damage, 10 million damage, like here, there, just one-shots a lot of enemies, and he's really great turret, so if you get like a bunch of racks in the sky like it did at this part, he just kills all the enemies for you. It's very easy. You can experiment with any weapon you want with Iron Bear. Personally, how I feel is that the railguns are the best weapons you want to use for autopiloting Iron Bear, because they go directly to the enemy. They travel really fast. They do actually have a travel time to get to the enemy, but they do travel really fast where it doesn't really matter. For the most part, Iron Bear has a good time on hitting the enemies. You want to use the Shock Anointment railgun, which basically allows you to chain lightning, and the corrosive version, because, you know, it allows us to do more corrosive damage, and that's the name of this build. Lots of corrosive damage. It doesn't do a lot of damage at first, but then the explosion afterwards does tons of damage. Iron Bear is also getting the bonus from Old God. Real quick, with our Captain Tron kill, I pretty much went over to Captain Tron, entered exit Iron Bear from the action skill end, shot my feet once with the sellout gun, so we have the Elemental Projector, Incinerate Dot, and Corrosive Dot at once, and just threw out a couple gas calls, and it killed them really fast, even faster than our Peregrine plus gas call build, which is kind of crazy. I wasn't expecting that. And same idea with Brave Ward. With our Peregrine build, we had to wait for his arm to get down, but with this build, you didn't actually need to wait for that, because you don't need the racks to hit the arm. You can actually just throw out your grenades to Graveward's body. So what I did was enter, exit Iron Bear, shot myself once with Sellout, just like Captain Tron, and just threw a bunch of gas calls, and Minesweeper just did the rest of the work and just killed the enemy. The Minesweeper gets a ton of bonuses from the Unforgiven, the gas call gets a bunch of damage from the Unforgiven. Just everything combined just increases damage to exponential amounts. You get the Ryu Rad bonus, critical hit damage from Unforgiven, Minesweeper damage, Elemental Projector damage, Old God damage, Torcroft promotion, Skag into Fire Dent. You're able to kill anything you want and any element you want, because you're doing 3 different types of elements at once. So you don't have to worry about switching to a particular gun to be able to kill any enemy. You're just set on any enemy you see. The Mayhem modifier I'm using, someone on my last video actually suggested we use More Than Okay Boomer. It seems like a no-brainer, but I just never really thought about it. That increases our grenade damage by 25%. That is a lot. Because say you did like 5 million damage, 25% of that is about like 2 million more. I know the exact number is a little bit less than that, but it's like, that just means a lot, being able to deal 25% more grenade damage. And the other Mayhem modifiers we're using, Healing Avenger, Pool Party, Postmortem. The only unpreferable Mayhem modifier in here is Pool Party. We don't really want that. Everything else was too perfect to pass up, so we just left it as a B. And the pools don't deal too much damage to me, so I don't really worry about that. Whatever I'm in danger with this build, I just immediately go into Iron Bear. Iron Bear is always up because even if like it dies because of how many times you're dealing splash damage, we activate our explosive punctuation, which decreases the cooldown rate. We get a ton of cooldown rate from the grizzled kill skill, so every time we kill an enemy, our cooldown gets reduced. We're able to go in Iron Bear very often with this build. We also use as many Iron Bear damage boosts as possible because we want to be able to deal tons and tons of damage with Iron Bear when he's autopilot, because we don't really want to be an Iron Bear too much. You could if you wanted to, but the name of the game of this build is to be out of Iron Bear and throw in your gas calls. So we got lots of points in the Stainless Steel Bear, got lots of points into Scorching RPM for the Iron Bear hard point damage. We got Specialist Bear, tons of stuff like that, but I'll show you the build later. We also run a Bladed Unforgiven. It's the same Unforgiven as I said before, but the reason why we run a Bladed is because every once in a while we want to go up and personal and just melee someone, because of the Groundbreaker perk increases the amount of melee damage based on 25% of the damage you dealt in the last 5 seconds that was non-melee. So we're able to do tons of damage there. Also, one interaction I saw that was very interesting. I noticed that the Unforgiven pistol doesn't deal a lot of damage, right? So when I was just playing around, I was throwing out my gas calls, and it seems my Unforgiven pistol damage would increase all of a sudden, and I'm not really sure what it's doing that. I'm gonna personally guess that it's either combo on the Guardian rank or the overkill bonus on the Guardian rank, because every once in a while I would shoot with my Unforgiven pistol and it would just kill the enemy instantly, which is really weird, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, we're running short fuse and lots of Iron Bear damage to increase short fuse, because short fuse is increased based on Iron Bear damage. So maybe that's why. Also, one-shotting people with the Unforgiven pistol every once in a while on Flax. So I think it's some Guardian points that are deciding that. But yeah, this build is just crazy. We're able to kill anything we want very easily by just throwing grenades, which is amazing, because in Borderlands, a lot of grenades don't deal tons and tons of damage, besides maybe the Spring Epicenter, and I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the Spring Epicenter does crazy amounts of damage, and I think Gas Call is the only other one that does crazy amounts of damage, but Gas Call really got Spring Epicenter's number right here. But it's really cool to be able to just use a grenade build in this game, because on Mayhem 10, all the grenades kind of really fall out. They're really bad for the most part, so it's really cool that Moze finally has a grenade that allows you to run a grenade build like her tree suggests. So it's really cool that we're able to actually do the heart and soul of the grenade build on Mayhem 10 with Moze finally. So here's my build. We primarily use Fire in the Skag Den as many points as possible because we want to be able to deal bonus incendiary damage, some splash damage. Fire in the Skag Den does also scale based on Iron Bear damage, I'm pretty sure. So you want to have as many Stainless Steel Bear points as possible and as many Scorching RPMs as possible, so we can deal lots of damage with Fire in the Skag Den. It also gets Mayhem damage multipliers, so the higher Mayhem you are, the more damage Fire in the Skag Den does. We run 4 Grizzled, so we have Iron Bear constantly coming back up. We have Means of Destruction, so we have tons of grenade. We run Pull the Holy Pin for the crits, because, you know, if you're not running Pull the Holy Pin, then what's the point of even holding an Unforgiven gun in the first place? We use Auto Bear, so Iron Bear can just deal tons and tons of damage while we're out of him. We use To the Last, so we can throw grenades out during Fight for the Life. We use Explosive Punctuation, so we can get Iron Bear back as fast as possible, because every time we deal splash damage, Iron Bear comes back a little bit quicker, and we're dealing tons and tons of splash damage because the Gas Call summons tons of skulls, and it seems kind of random on how many skulls Gas Call summons. It's really weird. It seems to be able to spawn a lot sometimes, and sometimes like few. So it definitely has a weird ricochet action happening or something. It, depending on where you hit the enemy, a ton of skulls will spawn. Or I'm not really sure if this is the positioning that causes it. It doesn't really matter. Someone's going to figure it out. Some brainiac. We run the short fuse so we can deal some crazy gun damage as well if we ever want to. You could switch to another gun that probably deals a lot more damage if you ever want to. But I personally like to go all in on just grenades because I love gimmicky builds. We run all the way down to Desperate Measures on the red tree because we want to get bonus gun damage from the desperate measures depending on how low our health is, and we run a deathless, so it's always at 1, so we get the max bonus as possible. We run experimental munitions. That is very important on any Moze build, as everyone knows. Allows us to just deal incendiary damage on every critical hit. Drowning in Brass just is crazy amounts of damage based on every enemy you kill. Gives you 100% more gun damage at max stacks, which is crazy. Stoke the Embers, that's one of the important ones here. That increases our incendiary damage. Since we're already doing incendiary damage, that just increases it even more. Scorching RPMs, as I said before, that's very important for increasing Iron Bear damage, which increases our Skag and the Fire damage, and Specialist Bear, which allows us to just deal 6% more damage based on the 2 weapons we're using, which is 2 rev guns. So Iron Bear just does crazy amounts of damage. If you guys want to see any of my other builds, I did a Zane build that actually made the Hustler good. It insta-freezes every single enemy and does crazy amounts of melee damage. We ran a Moze 50-50 Flare build, which allowed us to deal crazy amounts of damage inside Iron Bear and out of Iron Bear. We also did a flak build with the Peregrine class mod and the light speed grenade. It actually spawns 4 grenades at once on rack hit, which is really weird. If you guys want to see any of those builds, they're all going to be up here. The save file for this build will be down here in the description and the comments, so don't forget to click that if you want to try using this build. It's really fun, able to kill any enemy instantly, any boss really quickly. It has the Vindicator Ghast Call. For those of you who don't want to farm for the Vindicator Ghast Call, since it only has a 2% chance on dropping, you can just use a save file if you're on PC and just use that. And that's all I have for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.
And the last shall be first to immerse in a pass out heat, facing him out with a moxie melt till he woke up drowning in tchotchke hell. War in a cave with a torch on a wall, then a window arrangement of porcelain dolls.